So Unit 1 has been discussing inequalities. So this is the last part. The first part was quadratic inequalities, where we had x squareds, parabolas. The second part was rational inequalities, and now we're going to do absolute value. So absolute value. What is the absolute value of -2? The answer is 2. So absolute value means to always make the number positive. Whatever it turns out to be, it's always positive. Graphically, it looks like a V. If we did the absolute value of x, the graph looks like a V. Why did we use absolute value? Absolute value is used in distance. When you talk about distances, you don't say, I went 2 miles to the store and I went -2 miles back. It was 2 miles there, 2 miles back. So distance is when we use absolute value. To solve the inequalities is actually easier than the other two that we've done so far. So, to solve a absolute value inequality, the first step is to write down the problem 2 times. The first time, you write it down exactly how it appears. The second one, you flip the sign. So it was less than, now it's greater than, and you negate your answer. So I'll say flip and negate. Did you remember to flip and negate? So, inequality just the way it is without the absolute value sign. Without the absolute value sign, flip the sign, negate the answer. And then just solve. Add 1. Divide by 3. Don't forget the rule from the first day that if you divide by a negative, it makes the answer positive. Okay, for this one, again, add 1. Divide by 3. And then remember, just like your first one that we did a couple days ago, that it is A is greater than 2 or A is greater than -4/3. Or less than 2, sorry, I said that wrong. A is less than 2. Or A is greater than -4/3. The or is critical. Next one. In this one we have the absolute value and then we have +4. So one step we also have to remember is that we isolate the absolute value. So your first step before you set up your 2 equations now is to subtract 4. So we have the absolute value of 3m minus 6 is greater than or equal to 18, 22 minus 4. Now set up your 2 equations. 3m minus 6 is greater than or equal to 18. The second equation, 3m minus 6, flip less than or equal to, and negate -18. Do some algebra. Add 6. Divide by 3. Second one, add 6. -18 plus 6, -12. Divide by +3. not this part. We're dividing by positive 3, so we don't have to flip it. So m is greater than or equal to 8, or m is less than or equal to negative 4. Now you're going to try try it by yourself, pause the video, do it by yourself, and come back and see if you got the correct answer. So first step, add the 2 to both sides. Then set up your two equations. 7y is less than 14. 7y, flip and negate. Solve. And last step, don't forget that we need an or. Okay. So, absolute value inequalities. If they're not already isolated, the absolute value is not isolated, we isolate it, move everything over to the other side, set up two equations. The first one's set up just as it was, without the absolute value. The second one is set up when we flip the sign and negate the answer. And then we just do algebra and finish solving both equations, not forgetting that we need an or in between there. Okay, so again, as a reminder, make sure you've written down any questions that you have or anything that you do not understand, and we'll do some practice problems in class tomorrow. See you in class.